This is a story of complete and utter frustration, but hopefully one that will help you if you end up in this situation, because it led me to reading the terms and conditions, which actually meant that I didn't have to pay many months of membership fees when they were asking me to pay them. So let's get into the story. I was a member of a local gym. In fact, we all were as a family. We were paying hundreds of pounds a month for this membership, and at some point, being a martial artist, I pick up injuries now and again that prevent me from using the gym facilities. So for a good few months, I was only using the pool and the spa instead of the gym because my shoulder was hurting. And at some point, I went for an MRI scan and they found a huge amount of inflammation in my shoulder, and they told me that I shouldn't even be swimming. I should just give it a rest. So I went to the gym and I said, can I suspend my membership instead of just cancelling it? They said yes, for a reduced cost per month, I could suspend my membership so that I would remain a member, but it's suspended. So I couldn't use the facilities, but I still pay a fee every month. Their terms said that I could suspend it between 2 and 9 months for once only in any 12-month calendar period. I said, fine, let's suspend it for 6 months. So that was in the May of that year. This was many years ago. So for 6 months, so until October, my membership would be suspended, still having to pay that suspension fee. Now, fast forward a few months to August. I obviously still took my son there for his swimming lessons because that was allowed. And I realized that the bathroom facilities smelt a little bit too much like bathroom facilities. And that, coupled with the fact that previously, when I was only using the spa was often out of order. And so all of these combined, I came to the decision that we don't want to be members there anymore. It was just too expensive for what was being provided. So I sent the following email, and little did I know this would be the start of a very interesting conversation. Dear sirs, it is with regret that I've chosen to cancel my membership. I predominantly only use the club to swim and spa, but very often at least one spa is out of use. Secondly, the bathroom facilities have consistently not been at the level of hygiene I would expect for the amount I pay, and given that they are near the doors, this is quite unpleasant. Please accept this notice to cancel my membership in full. Notice given today gives you 3 full months notice for August, September, and therefore ending in October. Yours sincerely. A day or so later, I received the following email response. Good afternoon, Daniel. Thank you for your email, and sorry the cleanliness and facilities in club have led you to cancel your membership. I will bring this up with the cleaning team and maintenance technician. In regards to the cancellation, your membership is currently suspended until the 1st of October. Therefore, I can take your 3 months notice as October, November, and December to cancel. Now, on the one hand, that was right. Initially, my membership was suspended until the October. That would be the 6-month period. However, I felt that wasn't really necessary, given that I was offering to pay them the full 3 months notice in full for the August, September, and October. Remembering, of course, that the suspension fees were significantly less. So this is what really led me to dive into the terms and conditions, because I just felt that that wasn't really necessary. So when I looked at the terms and conditions, I found a couple of things of interest. First of all, regarding the suspension and notice period. So I send the following response. It is disappointing that you've taken this stance because your terms do not reflect the same. Your terms state that upon notice of cancellation, any suspension will end and the 3 months notice will commence. So by me providing notice of cancellation, the 3 months notice would begin and any suspension, as my account was suspended, would end. And so they should really have taken my 3 months notice. That should have been it, and I would have paid it, I wouldn't have had a problem, and this video wouldn't have happened. But alas, here we are. But I also felt it necessary to tell the club a little bit about my shoulder injuries, because up to that point I hadn't really done so. I'd only had a brief chat at the reception counter, who had kindly offered to suspend my membership for the 6-month period. So I add the following to my email. I feel it's necessary to elaborate on my email yesterday and the reasons that I only used the pool and the spa. The reason for my limited use of the club is that I've had an ongoing medical issue with several injuries, and I've recently had an MRI scan on my left shoulder, which found supraspinatus tendinosus and subacromial bursitis, causing significant pain and discomfort, which prohibits me from using the gym facilities and limits my ability to swim or even use the sauna. But what I found in the terms was even more interesting than that. Their own terms provide that if there was a medical reason to stop using the facility and you provided them with such evidence, that your membership would end at the end of that month. So accordingly, I wrote in the email, under the circumstances, I hereby tender notice to terminate my membership under Section 15 of your member terms and provide the requisite medical evidence herewith. Under Section 15(1)(b) of your terms, my membership will therefore end on the last day of this month, that being August of that year. So no suspension fees, no notice cancellation period at full price. My membership would end at the end of that month. And given that I'd already paid the suspension fee for that month, that should have been it. But as you can probably guess, that wasn't the end of the matter. The rather confusing email that came back was the minimum term for a suspension is 2 months. Therefore, I can place a cancellation in after the 2 months notice as suggested in my previous email. So completely ignoring me referring them to their own terms, which said that my membership would end at the end of that month, completely ignored that and said, as you've stated that this is a condition preventing you from accessing the club, you are entitled to a free suspension. I can request the suspension fees paid and set to come out on the 1st of September to be reviewed. If required, I can then place your membership on a long-term suspension until you're able to return to the club and use the facilities. So again, ignoring the fact that I'd tendered my cancellation under their own terms for that month, they did offer at least to review the suspension fees that I'd already paid, but then said that they'd place me on a long-term suspension. So once again, completely ignored my request to cancel. Now, whilst that wasn't really definitive, it did say that I was entitled to free suspension, so I thought that would be that at least for a while and sort it out later. But I didn't hear anything else for about a month. Until, you probably guessed it, I received an email to tell me that my fees are now due and that I can pay with the link below or by ringing the phone number. So I thought, well, my account is supposed to be frozen until further notice because that's what the email said. So I reply and said, further to previous correspondence, my account is currently frozen until further notice and no fees are due. Please can you rectify the account to reflect this and, as previously advised, raise a query, as they said they would, but didn't, as to the months that I've already paid since these medical issues arose. I understand that I am entitled to freeze my account free of charge due to the medical evidence I've provided, yet I've paid several months of fees for the account to be frozen. Please ensure that no action is taken in respect of fees and confirm the same by return. A few days later, I get another email from the same person that I was talking to before to say, please can you provide medical documentation dated within the last 3 months for me to remove the suspension fee added to your account. Now, given that this was the person that I'd sent the evidence to before, I just replied to say, please check the previous emails. I've already sent it. And just to be sure, I forward the same email back to the same person so that they have it at their convenience. Then I receive another email back from the person with sort of good news, bad news. First of all, the good news that they now could see the medical letter that I'd sent previously, apologised and removed those fees from the account. The bad news, however, is that they said to cancel membership due to medical reasons, they need a letter from a medical practitioner confirming that I have a long-term injury and that I'm unable to exercise for long periods of time. If you can provide this, they said, we will be more than happy to revisit the cancellation request. Now, given that what I sent was an MRI scan report and it came from a medical practitioner, I replied to say that as you already have a copy of my MRI, I do not see that it's necessary to provide any further letters. I'll let you know by January whether or not I intend to continue membership, but as it stands, I do not. But even then, it still didn't end there. she came back once again and said, I will ensure that the membership suspension is placed on your account until the 1st of December. You will then be required to make 1 month's notice payment on the 1st of December to cancel your membership from the 1st of January. But not only did that not make sense, it wasn't mentioned anywhere in their terms and didn't reflect their terms at all. So I think it was just them having one last shot to get one last full month's membership fees out of me, even though on the one hand they accepted the evidence to say that I had an injury and was entitled to free suspension, but on the other hand I still, for some reason that they didn't explain, had to make a full month's payment, 1 full month's payment, before they would finally cancel my account. So I replied to say this is quite unreasonable. Your terms at 15.1b state, your membership will end on the last day of the month in which we receive your notice or your suitable evidence. I gave notice, I went on to say, on the 2nd of August to terminate my membership on medical grounds and provided MRI evidence of an ongoing injury, pain and discomfort. My obligation to fees therefore ended on the 31st of August in line with your own terms of membership. I must say that this short-sighted approach does not encourage me to stay or recommend your club to others. I will not be continuing my membership and I have no intention of paying you any further fees. And it still didn't end there. They came back once again to say, in regards to the evidence provided, you provided documentation which is dated the 3rd of May. In order for us to change our position on your cancellation, we will require evidence dated since July to review the cancellation request. I'm sorry you feel this way, but we are unable to change our stance on your membership at this time. Now remember that when I gave them the notice, it was within 3 months of the medical evidence that I provided. So I respond yet again to say the evidence is dated the 3rd of May, and my notice was given on the 2nd of August. This is within 3 months, and I do not see the problem. For the avoidance of doubt, this is not a cancellation request. I've given appropriate notice in accordance with your terms of membership, and I hereby consider my membership terminated as of the 31st of August. And my final word on this was I will vehemently defend any attempt to collect any further fees from me and seek any costs in doing so. Now, obviously, in most cases, you won't get your costs in any kind of small claim, but I protected my cost position nonetheless, because frankly, I felt this was just entirely unreasonable. A full week later, I receive an email to say, I hope you are well. I wanted to drop you an email to confirm your membership has now been cancelled. This is due to your request on the 3rd of August, which we suggested a free suspension instead. I'm sorry for the delay in our response and hope that it's the best outcome for yourself and your son. On behalf of myself and the club, we wish you the very best. So this just goes to show how frustrating and how pedantic it can be to argue with a company when they don't even follow their own terms. It would be bad enough if the terms didn't support my position. But as it happened, they did support my position, and I was only digging my heels in to their own terms because they were being unreasonable in the first place. In the first place, I was perfectly willing to pay the 3 months full membership notice to cancel my membership, and it was they who wanted to extract further funds from me before doing so, which led me to looking into the terms and conditions, which made me realize that they were on my side. It meant that when I provided the evidence, my membership would end at the end of that month, and yet it took so many emails and back and forth and different ways of trying to extract funds from me before they would actually comply with their own terms and conditions. So you can only imagine if somebody was not as forthright, did not have the time, the energy, the inclination, and dare I say it, the full understanding of looking at these terms and conditions without going to a lawyer, which would have probably cost in the end more than these membership fees. And such a person would end up in this back and forth, and many people, in fact many of our clients, come to us to say that they have debt collectors chasing them for these kind of fees when they probably don't owe these fees in the first place. So I, for one, found that hugely frustrating because It's just ridiculous that companies like this do not stick to their own terms and that they try every which way to extract more fees from you before finally giving up and cancelling the membership as they should have done in the first place. If you are in this position, if you have a story like this, or if you're in the middle of a story like this right now, let me know in the comments below. Send me an email to requests@blackbeltbarrister.com. and I will look at your story and perhaps make a video about it. If you want to hear more about how to handle these things yourself, check out blackbeltbarrister.com. The membership there, I've got access to various different videos, and I'll be adding various different videos on how to write to these people and how to deal with claims like this. There are also some videos here on YouTube. I'll put a couple on screen now that you can go and watch. If you want to write a letter of claim to somebody, I'll put these videos on screen now. You can go and watch that now, and I hope you find that interesting. But for now, thank you for watching.